Haggard. As the conflict between Israel and Hamas intensifies and Israeli troops enter the Gaza Strip, President Obama is calling for some measure of restraint.
The United States and our friends and allies are deeply concerned about the risks of further escalation and the loss of more innocent life. We are hopeful that Israel will continue to approach this process in a way that minimizes civilian casualties.
But in a rare appearance on The Five, Charles Krauthammer reminds us who really puts innocent lives at risk.
The UN agency had to admit after a delay of a day that it found in one of its schools 20 Hamas rockets hidden. Now, this is the length of the depravity of Hamas, when even the UN has to admit that it is obviously creating situations, hiding its weaponry among children, in fact, as a way to protect itself.
You know, what I find amazing here is Egypt calls for a ceasefire, right? And the Israelis say, okay. And Hamas says, no, we're going to keep going. Now, I mean, Egypt has been feeding a lot of things to Hamas. Don't you find that interesting, Eric, that they would not even listen to the biggest power, if you just consider that next to Israel and in the area?
And because they did that, they're not getting support throughout the Arab world, which is what I was pointing out earlier in the show. They're on their own. Hamas is on their own, and they're going to completely get, Israel calls it mowing the lawn every few years. The lawn gets too high, and they mow the lawn, and they do this. The problem is people are dying. Kids are dying. Mostly Palestinian or Arab Hamas kids are dying when they're trying to play soccer. So stop. It's your leader's fault. You need to just agree to a ceasefire, and this thing goes away. Israel's not trying to take Gaza back. They're trying to stop the rockets from coming into Israel. That's their issue. End of story.
And how do you think the Hamas is, obviously they're getting these rockets from Iran and they're getting them in somehow. I mean, it's surrounded, but that's got to be Egypt doing some work with them and coming in from the sea, don't you think?
Yeah, they definitely have support, and they could have had a ceasefire. Hamas could have if they wanted to, but they don't want to. I mean, they've been fighting for decades and decades and decades. They don't know anything different. And I was listening to another news network, and they said, "Oh, the Palestinian children, the 2 boys who died on the beach. What were 2 Palestinian boys doing playing on a beach when the Israelis gave ample heads up they were coming? They dropped leaflets. They went door to door. They did phone calls. They let everybody know we're going to finally fight back because we have no choice. So evacuate the area." They don't want casualties, but Benjamin Netanyahu said it the best. He said the difference between us is we're using missile defense to protect our citizens, and Hamas is using their civilians to protect their missiles. And they've been doing that for a while as part of their PR campaign so that they get sympathy.
Greg, the CNN reporter, I think, either tweeted or said something about scum. They called the Israelis scum for sending in these their own rockets after they've been rocking. What are they thinking? I mean,
it's an interesting thing. If those in the media who took their vitriolic views of Israel and actually had that directed towards parts of Africa, they would be called racist. Mm-hmm. But you can get away with it with Israel primarily because Israel is often a proxy for America. It's a suitable punching bag when you can't hit us. So when you're bombing Israel, it's kind of their way of saying you're next.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something, Kimberly. Let me give you an exact quote from Diana Magni, that's from CNN, woman, who tweeted, "Israelis are on a hill above Surat, cheer as bombs land on Gaza. Threaten to destroy our car if I say a word. Scum." Now, I mean, what it would take a mentality of a 3-year-old to come up with something like that.
Well, it's reprehensible, and she doesn't have a job. So what do you want me to tell you? That's there's no place for that kind of thing. And by the way, if you equip yourself with the facts, again, the Israelis go out of their way painstakingly to make sure there are not civilian casualties. They call every phone registered in a building before they hit it. They drop a small, kind of like a warning shot in a building to let everyone know to evacuate. Okay, they have every right to protect their country and their people. And Hamas murders children and buries them in a shallow grave. It's disgusting.
And they murder their own children.
Did she really lose her job?
I think they
off
the Israel
so
off
Twitter
the Israel beat. Yeah.
Twitter costs more jobs than Obama.
There you go. One more thing is up next.